Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ken here, and I am super excited about my guest on the show today. The one and only Grant Cardone, Mr. 10X. We're going to deep dive into his life, and we're going to discover the biggest piece of advice you'll ever get in yours. Stay tuned. So the big question is this: how is a tiny percentage of entrepreneurs blow the pack away? What are they doing that we're not? I asked myself that question for 10 years. I was failing forward and getting sick of it. I wanted to build a coaching business, but couldn't make any headway. So I started studying them. I realized that the world's most elite marketers, entrepreneurs, and gurus were all using the same 4-step system. I call it the authority factor. On the show, I'm going to prove to you that the authority factor worked for them and it'll work for you. My name is Ken Dunn. Let's get started. All right, well, we'll just jump back into it. Friends, I don't have to introduce Grant Cardone to you. You know exactly who he is. Forbes magazine calls him the top marketer in the world right now. But what I believe really is that he didn't start off saying, I want to be the top marketer in the world. I think he really found a calling for himself because of his own experiences. And that's what I really hope we pull out here today. Grant, thank you so much, brother, for jumping on the show with us.
Hey, appreciate you having me, and I'm looking forward to whatever we discover here.
So, Grant, everybody knows the story, but it'd be really worth just taking a minute and going through it from your perspective. Early days as a broke car salesman, from what I understand, but like, what's the timeline? How did you move from there to where you are now? What was the beginning like?
Yeah, so, I mean, God, man, why you always got to bring me to back to the beginning, right? So, look, I grew up in Louisiana, and I ended up with a drug problem at 15 years old that extended till I was 25. Went to a treatment center as I scratched my nose, and went to a treatment center when I was 25. I was selling cars when I got out of college because I couldn't get another job. So a lot of people are like, oh, car salesman. Guys, that's exactly how I felt about it. And I went to college, got an accounting degree, had this drug problem that I'm not proud of, got out of college, could not get a job. 1 out of 4 people were unemployed where I lived. And it was a refinery town. And my dad died when I was 10. And if your dad or your uncle didn't belong to a union, you weren't going to get a job there.
Wow.
And so, my uncle actually worked at the union, and he could have got me a job there, but I had messed up my reputation with my family because of my drug problem. So when I got out of college, barely got out of college, with an accounting degree, which is a story about me because I've always been interested in money, a car dealer hired me. It's the only job I could get. It was unemployment or the car dealer.
And so it wasn't an accounting job at the car dealership. You were selling cars.
No, dude. It was like, you're going to be a salesman. I'm like, dude, I didn't go to college to be a car salesman. One of my other uncle who didn't have a degree, he says, you didn't go to college to be unemployed either.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, good point. So I went over there with my little drug problem, failed at selling cars for 2 years. By the way, that wasn't my first failed sales job. I did furniture. I did seafood. I did, clothes. Like, I was a failure, basically. I lost a job. I lost 7 jobs before that job. And I'm not saying that to have people somehow connect with me or, oh my God, if he can do it, I can do it. I know that there's a strategy and all that, but it's just that's what happened with me. I'm not proud of it. I should have been successful when I was 15 years old. Had I not lost my dad and not got involved in drugs, I could have been making money when I was 15, 16, 17, and 18. Like, because I have always had what it takes to be successful. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't say it arrogantly, but I know that this has been in me. This is not something I found, and I know what caused me the problems now. Like 12 years, 17 years of school was not good for me. That they could have shrunk that whole thing down to like 12 or 13 years. I could have got through the whole thing. and boredom was the biggest problem I've had in my life. So anyway, I went to work at the car dealer, went to the treatment center after 2 years. He hired me back when I came out of treatment. I made a commitment to getting great at that job. I didn't have any choices. There's never a B or C plan for me. Frank Kern talks about A/B test. Russell talks about the A/B test. I'm like, fuck the A/B test. We're going to spend so much energy and resources and money on A. We're going to get everybody to say, you know what? I like that ad, or I hate it. One of the two, but I know it. Mm-hmm. And we literally, like today, here I am 37 years later in my career, going from broke and in debt to, we probably make more money online, without exaggeration, than maybe any other group in the world. And I know for sure I raised more money than any other group on the planet using crowdfunding. We've raised $438 million in the last 33 months.
Like you get on an interview with anybody and they're going to say, what keeps you going? And I mean, we know what keeps you going. It's a passion for it. What I'm more interested in, if I've been looking for this for a long time. And the one question that I wanted to ask you when we were face to face was, if you look back at the whole journey, what was that light bulb that went on? What was that turning point? It's not that I'm not looking for the, oh man, I hit the wall. I was so stoned this day. I woke up the next morning.
Yeah.
But there was a thought that came into your mind at some point that snapped. Do you remember that?
No, dude, there's been so many light bulbs go off along the way. There's not one, but there's recurring ones. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm bored, that is a light. Hey, bro, you've done the same thing too many times now. And boredom's a big deal. Like boredom's a massive issue for me. Okay. And, like me not being happy with me. Like when I look in the mirror at night, I need to be happy with me. I don't need Russell to be happy with me. I don't need Ken to be happy with me. I don't need Kevin Hart to be happy with me. I need to be happy with me. So, there's been so many lights that have gone off along the way that caused me to because I don't have to do what I'm doing anymore, but I do have to do what I'm doing. Right. And I want, by the way, I want what I'm doing to actually be financially rewarding. So like we just did, you were on this challenge that we started yesterday. There was 219,000 people signed up for it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even in the office when we started this deal. That is a huge victory for me and my company, that I did not have to be there to make this thing happen. Wow. So, I started my career where I was cold calling. When I was 30 years old, I was cold calling businesses. I've cold called thousands and thousands. I'm talking about knocking on the door with my hand in Winnipeg, Wisconsin, Indianapolis, all across the country. And today, I don't have to cold call anymore. I had this aha about 2010. Dude, what am I doing cold calls? Oh, I know why I'm doing cold calls, because nobody knows me. Mm-hmm. So I was like, light bulb went off. Dude, I'm going to get everybody to know me. I spent 30 years as an idiot thinking I had to call people and learn how to be a great salesman and know the objection and had to write the copy perfect. And I mean, I've done all the courses you've done, right? And then one day I was like, why should I have to write the copy perfectly? Why don't I get people to know who I am? Not have to get. So there's somebody listening to this later, or I know they're going to learn this at Easier Life Online. But now that you're sitting here in 2020 and you had this revelation 10 or 15 years ago, I'm just going to get people to know me. What's the fast track today? Like if somebody's just at that beginning point today and they have that revelation, say, because that was the revelation right there. I'm just going to get people to know me. What's the fastest way for somebody to get them to know them today? Just pay. Yeah. Just pay the money. Pay the money. This is when people now run up against their financial their financial limitations. Pay so people know you. It is the simplest, easiest, cheapest hack in the universe. And then for the broke dude listening to this podcast, borrow money to do it. You borrowed money for a car, money for a date, money for a vacation. You borrowed money for borrow the money, dude. Go bankrupt if you got to. Like, do whatever you got to do. Pay for the connection. Mm-hmm. Now, I know guys that do this. They just pay to go to these events and to be at the charity thing and get the freaking photo. Like, you also need to learn some skills so that you can actually get something out of that thing. I got a guy that I'm thinking about. He's up in Canada. He's got a photo with everybody. Bro, everybody. Like, this is everybody. He somehow figured out how to get a photo with everybody. I don't want photos with people. I want to do business with people.
Right.
So I'm paying for, I wouldn't pay $1 million to have lunch with Warren Buffett. I'd pay 10 million to figure out how to do a deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm just telling people, if you don't have $1 million or you don't have 10, just change the numbers. But start with in your city, start with who is the politically connected powerhouse business person in your city and give them old dead Ben Franklin's to them or their charity. Borrow it if you have to. Most of these people won't even take your money and say, here's some of that. Can I get an hour a week with you? Like, pay to be connected, not just to learn, by the way. It's not just about the mentoring. It's about being next to the right in the environment.
Okay, so now somebody's convinced they're going to go out and borrow money from their 80-year-old grandmother to invest in a relationship. But the disconnect for me now is, and you alluded to this a minute ago, I know 100 guys that will give somebody 50 grand for mentoring, but they won't do jack shit outside of that time they're with them. They'll listen, but they don't implement. So there's a piece of this that's about doing stuff with the information or getting the right information out of that relationship too.
I think the issue is the problem with that guy that doesn't do anything. If you are in a place in your life where you're finding yourself not execute on data, it's because you have too much data.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. If I go to Russell, to Grant, to Tony, and to Gary, there's going to be conflicts. When there's conflict, there's no action.
Right.
Conflicts are this. Conflicts don't actually get action. You need a flow. Okay. And for me to flow, that means I need one of those people's information so I can move with the information in confidence. Not be like, wait a minute, Grant said, but Bobby said, but Gary said, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. And the Bible says, and then that's why people, look, you can have an open mind, but your mind can be so open, you can't catch wind.
Okay. So check this out. You just mentioned about staying focused. Like that's what one of the things I just heard is find one thing. Now, here's some conflicting advice that I've heard from different people in my career. And I want to hear your thoughts on this. I've heard some folks, and to be honest with you, a lot of times I'll just brush this off because people will say to me, man, you got to choose something that you're passionate about. It's got to light your fire and you got to go first with that. Whenever I hear that, I'm thinking, yeah, but what if my fucking passion is gardening? You know, like I always gravitate to, okay, I got to do something I enjoy doing. I love digital marketing. I love being in this stuff, but it also has to be something that can be monetized, that's in demand. I mean, what's more important, the monetization, the demand of something, or your passion for that thing?
Well, rather than seeking out people's opinions about that, why don't we just study some of the most successful companies in the world? Like, I don't want people's opinion. I want success, man. I want to know what worked for the real players, not some guy that's never even had any employees. So I don't follow passion. I'll tell you right now, it's selfish, man. I think it's selfish. I've got to find something I love. Why you got to be so happy? Oh man, because I need to love it. But what if it means you don't have any money to give away to your charities and to solve the problems on this planet? By the way, all problems will be solved with money involved. No problem gets solved without money. I don't go to my passion, dude. I follow the money. How did Jeff Bezos create Amazon? He wasn't following his passion. Oh God, I love books. I want to be the top book salesman in the world. No, he followed the traffic. In my career, the biggest mistakes I've made is I have done what was easy and what was in front of me rather than, dude, once you think big, bro, that's the 10X thing. The 10X thing is, hey, why don't you follow the money? Why don't we teach kids today in America, like they do in China, by the way, in Asia, dude, get into fields that pay.
How'd you get started in real estate?
Because
curious if this.
because I even as a car salesman, I knew the car dealer was actually a real estate guy. Car dealers, most people don't know this, but most car dealers get super wealthy. If they end up with a yacht, it's because they have enough stores in the right location that the rent pays them more money than the cars do in the service.
But what was the first deal for you? Like, I get it that's.
Yeah, my first deal was I was 28 years old. I bought a house for 1117 Sheffield, Bel Air, Texas. It was $78,000. I put $3,700 down, and I doubled my money.
So you literally, did you go out and start studying, or did you just?
No, I just decided I'm gonna buy a house.
Because you learned somewhere along the way that
people. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was buying a house. I thought at 28 years old, you should not be thinking about buying a house. You should be thinking about investing in your business. Still today, man, I know people, when I do an audience and there's 12,000 people in the room, 6,000 people in that room have more money invested in their home than they do their company.
Mm.
It's stupid. I did what my mom and dad did. Okay? I should have been investing in a business. I should have been investing in myself. And I went and bought a house, 1117 Sheffield. 1117 Sheffield is still there, by the way.
So did you buy the place for the sole intention of flipping it? Or
I bought it. I was going to live in it. And then somebody said they'd rent it from me. I rented it. I'm like, man, this is good, man. I'm making $150 a month. And then they moved out 4 or 5 months later. I'm like, shit, this don't work. Because now I had to pay the whole note.
Mm-hmm.
Sold the house, and I started studying. Because I knew what I did wrong. I knew immediately when they moved out, I knew immediately what I did wrong. What did I do wrong?
Not anchoring them into it?
No, dude. I bought one door. I said, as soon as I bought that one door, I said, I'll never buy one door again because I was dependent. I basically had a sales job again. Sell a car. The worst thing you can do when you sell a car is sell a car because now you got to go get another customer. Right. So, it's like webinars. You do a webinar and then you're like, oh, I got to go build a funnel again.
Yep.
So my next deal would be 38 units. Then the second deal would be 48 units. The third deal was 92 units, and I was off to the races.
What's the biggest deal?
I'm doing a deal right now for $165 million.
How many units is that?
This deal's, I just closed the deal for 553 units. It was 122 million. I'll do $300 million worth of deals this month.
Shit. Hey,
my first deal was $3,500.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there that are saying they can't do that. I can't do what Grant does. I can't do the real estate.
Yeah. Well, you can't because you say you can't. So, I mean, it all starts with I can or I can. It's interesting because notice what I've done with social media. Like you made the reference to Forbes.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are spending a lot of money selling educational courses. I've raised $338 million online. No, $438 million. I'm sorry, I messed that by $100 million.
Yeah. So most of the money you've raised for your real estate business came from raising your following online.
Oh, 100%. So this 200,000 people that we've put into this 10X challenge.
Yep.
I know that 3% of these people are accredited investors. There's 6,000 people. There's 6,000 people in there that can invest with me easily.
So there's a part of, so essentially what we're pulling together here is you've got to realize that it's about getting everybody to know you. Yeah. But there's also clearly you're thinking, here's the things I want people to know about me. And clearly you're thinking how I look and talk is important in this equation too.
Not in my case. I don't think about those two things too much.
No, I don't mean it in the sense that, no, I guess that's, okay, that's the right way to put that.
I rarely think about, look, I went and shaved my head for the show that I did. I just did Undercover Billionaire. Yeah. I had to shave my head to be undercover so nobody would know me. My hair is just starting to grow out again. But I think very little about my looks. If anything, the way I am physically mocked up, I think has negatively impacted my push.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think it's been helpful for me. And then the way I talk has definitely hurt me because I'm a loudmouth. I am extremely opinionated. I don't filter well. People say I need medication. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I'm just honest. I'm like, I am an extremely honest, brutally honest person with myself. And because I do that with myself, I can't, if you ask me if that shirt looks good on you, Ken, I'm going to have to tell you wrong color.
But see the deal. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank God it's a podcast.
Perfect color from that.
But check this out. The reality is, though, as much as you might not think it helps you, you know full well that everybody has haters out there. So yeah, you could be looking at saying my following could be bigger, but you could also be saying the people that are following me really freaking love me for who I am and the way I talk. That becomes part of the reason.
I didn't know it would turn out like that. Okay. Like all the guys in the space, right? Okay,
Some of them.
Dean is extremely,
probably perfectly fit.
Huh?
Perfectly fit.
No, I mean, look, he is very calculated in his presentation.
Yep.
Frank Kern. Frank's got his own deal. He's got that goofy, man, if I can do it, you can do it. You know, that empathetic thing. I have zero empathy.
Yep.
Like I am completely contrary to what people would say for a public speaker. Tony's it. Tony's always pulling on the heartstrings, you know, hey man, I don't do any of that. And I'm not suggesting to people to do that. Okay. I think my way is a much harder way. I just don't have another way to do it. I don't know another way to do it, which is kind of encouraging because the point of the story is, however you do it, if you don't quit, you will not fail. If you don't quit, you will not fail. If you just don't quit.
You know, I get that. And I live by that. I have hit a wall so many freaking times in my life, but I've just not quit. I refuse to quit. But what I am always wondering is how do I help the skeptic to understand that? Now, like, I shouldn't care about the skeptic. I shouldn't care about the guy that is really struggling. But what's the advice that you give to the guy that he's struggling, he's in his own way, but he's not giving up hope? Like how do you get across to that guy?
I don't know if you do. I think you go wide. You go wide on the audience. Okay. The best way to get a quality audience is to get a quantity of audience.
The best way to get a quality of audience is a quantity of audience. I'm glad I'm recording this.
Quantity is senior to quality.
All right.
Quantity. You cannot get to quality without quantity. It's impossible.
I guess is what you were just talking about, the challenge, right? 200,000 people. And based on the data that there's 3% of those people, 6,000 people that are accredited investors.
But I also know because I tried the small thing. I remember my first business, I was like, I'm going to consult a handful of people and do a great job with them. It will never work. It is completely a of everything in our universe.
Okay, so right now,
Walmart, Amazon, Google, Facebook, General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Kellogg, Johnson & Johnson. Dude, these are quantity companies.
Right.
Okay. The individuals just, I'm going to do a better job. You're so hung up in your own ego. And the truth is you're lying to yourself. The only reason people want to do quality is because they freaking do not have the commitment to do the quantity game.
Or they can't figure out how to get the quantity game going.
Quantity requires, exactly. They want to stay with the little space they're comfortable in. Mm-hmm. And they're in real estate, so they just want to stay in that real estate thing. They're in automotive, they want to stay in that, okay? The most uncomfortable thing you can do is to go wide. And the only thing that you will ever do that will actually absolutely guarantee your financial success, at least, is to go wide.
I want to move into talking about the Grant Cardone coaching program without going into too much detail of it, because at Easier Life Online, you're going to be talking a lot about this subject. But I guess the question that I would lead us into that naturally is, where the world's at today. You know what's working for you today, but you also know where you were when you started 20 years ago. Knowing what life is like today, what piece of advice would you have given to broke Grant 20 years ago, 37 years ago?
move to New York and start a hedge fund. Sell yachts. Go work for a train company and sell go do something massive, bro. Like calculate on $1 billion. Same effort. I don't even think I knew the term. I don't think in my first 40 years of my life, I had even heard the term a billion. Like,
really?
Why? Yeah, no, why was a million such I don't think I ever even saw that numerical term. Why not? Okay, you're limited to your upbringing. And how some of these guys sneak through. I don't know how Elon has the mindset he has. I don't understand that. I don't know where it comes from. To me, it looks like some spiritual intervention, or he's an alien or something. I don't know why that guy thinks like that. And I've been thinking about, oh man, I don't know how to afford a coach ticket to go from Lake Charles to LA. And I'm terrified, by the way, to get on the plane. And I was 28 before on the first time I got on a plane. I was 28 years old. And I paid $236 because I didn't want to pay the extra $200 for the first class. And Elon's like, let's go to Mars. What's the difference? Same planet, same human being. My thinking was so limited, man. And I would just tell people, hey, look, if you're going to go the college route, do the whole thing from high school, elementary, 15, 16 years. If you can't do that in like 10 years, 12 years, you're not committed. Go to work. And then get around some people that think big, enormous. And
one of the things
that's the difference today look, you're literally making billionaires every day. The think on this planet is expanding massively right now.
Right.
Had it not been for technology, look, COVID would have shut this entire planet down. The economic system would have been shut down. Technology really saved this planet.
Yeah, no kidding. So when I've had a chance to talk to people about any of these subjects, it's a similar theme. I'm telling people, you got to freaking get new information into your head, however you do it, whether it's reading books or watching videos, but find a way that you know how to consume new information where it sticks, and freaking do it a lot. What are your thoughts on that?
I would say first, you might want to get rid of some of the old information.
Okay.
What information, I would just suggest, and this is what I do in our coaching. I start looking at, okay, you're this old. This is where you're at in your life. This is what you're making. What information is trap you into that space, into that income? Why do you live where you live? What data have you used to do that? Because that data got you where you're at, but it can also keep you where you're at. So, when I've been buying real estate for 30 years. I went from 0 to 600 units in the first 2 years, 600 to 2,200 in the next 5 years, went backwards to 600 before 08. I reduced my holdings. And then in 08, I didn't do anything. Like, I just sat there, didn't move. In the last 8 years, I've gone from 600 units to almost 9,000. Wow. I didn't add new information. I got rid of the old information. And so I started looking at, okay, why are you thinking like this? Okay, good. You got to get rid of this. I'm going to do one deal at a time. So I'm just saying, the first thing I think people should do is strip away, empty the trash can before you start adding new trash.
But how does somebody know what the right trash to add is, what the right information to add is?
I think the best way to find that out is to make space first.
Okay.
And then also to look at, like, I graph a lot. I graph stuff. If a piece of data is right, it should move a graph immediately. If you get a piece of data and you don't use it, it's because there's confusion. You and I talked about that a few minutes ago. There are no lazy people on planet Earth.
Right.
They don't exist, dude. They've never, if you're a father, if you're a grandfather, if you have a niece or a nephew, there are no lazy children. They're made lazy. We manufacture lazy. You're not born lazy. A spiritual being is incapable of lazy. They are manufactured, made. Sit in that room for 55 minutes and listen to me, young man. I get used to sitting. And so if I'm not using the data, it's because I have a conflict of data. Remove one piece of data, now you have the right thing to do. That thing you do should move your graph. If it moves the graph, you repeat it. So that's what I do.
Measured, data improves.
Yeah, immediately. Like if I go to a Tony event and I'm excited and Monday my graph doesn't change, hey, guess what? I ain't doing that event again.
Yep.
I need the graph to change. In fact, I would like the graph to change while I'm at the event. So if you have the courage to do a coaching with me, we're going to move your graph while you're with me, not when you leave, because I don't trust you.
So in 90 minutes at Easier Life Online, you're going to have 20,000 people listening to every word that you tell them about coaching. We've gone over a lot of information right now. If you have one piece of advice, I'm not talking about the broke joker that can't get out of his own way, but you've got somebody that's got money to do things. He's making strides forward, but he's not anywhere near 10xing it. Have we covered that advice, or is there something you want to add?
No, look, if you know when you look in a mirror or in your mind's eye and say, hey, I have more potential. I should be doing more. If you've looked up and seen a private jet before and you're like, damn, who owns that thing? That is inspiration, man. If you walked on the beach in Malibu and said, I wonder who lives there. Those are indications, not of envy, but of inspiration. It's like, dude, how did that guy do that? Those are moments where we're like, you're firing off. The truth is firing off. How did he do it? The question is not how did he do it? The question is, how can I do this? Like, I am never going to tell somebody, I'm never going to teach or encourage somebody to do something I have not done. I don't do it, dude. Like, I'm not an emotional coach. I'm not a life coach. I'm not a spiritual guru. I talk to people about how to move the bar in their life. If you're financially motivated, materially motivated, if we can measure it, if you want to add employees, you got 100 employees, let's go get 1,000. You got 1,000, let's get 10,000. Employees don't cost money. Staying small costs money. So that's what I want to spend 90 minutes talking about. Hey, dude, how do we all get bigger and more influential? Mm-hmm. And so we're arguing. 10 of us decide to go to St. Bart's and we're all arguing about whose plane we're going on. Because there's room for everybody, you know? Mm-hmm. And that would be the thing, you know. I want to take people that are committed to success and are already successful and see what we can do to get them to blow through the top.
Well, guys, you heard it here first. I mean, bottom line is this. It's all about the way you're thinking. It's all about deciding that inspiration is going to run your life instead of the junk you've got in the back. Grant, I really appreciate you taking the time to lay all this out for everybody. If you get a chance to grab a ticket for Easier Life Online, you are not going to regret spending 90 minutes privately with Mr. Grant Cardone. Thanks for being here, man.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Well, there's another amazing show in the books. If you want to hear more from these incredible world caliber speakers, go to easierlifeonline.com.